Hello, everybody. For this week's multimedia share, I'm going to do my own sharing. It's going to help me learn a lot. So my topic is meditation is medicine. So I figure we should start with what's meditation. There's probably a million ways to look at meditation. And the scope of this video is very small, and the scope of my understanding to how deep meditation goes is also really, in perspective, quite small. But one thing I think it's important to note is from my perspective and my learning, that there is a couple ways we use the word meditation. So when we think meditation, we think someone sitting, quietly in a silent, concentrated, empty state or hyper-focused state or something like that. But all we must do to meditate is sit and be quiet, right? Meditating. But there is potentially could be a difference between sitting, the act of sitting and being quiet, and meditation. Sitting being, or the way we use meditating, I'm meditating as a verb, I'm doing it. But another way to look at meditation is it's rather something that happens. It's a noun. It's a state. Is it a brain state, a state of consciousness? According to yoga, there's something called dharana, which means concentration. And that is separate, of course, also together, but separate with dhyana. Dhyana means meditation, and dharana is concentration. On the 8 limbs of yoga, the concentration comes before meditation. So according to BKS Iyengar, who's a very well-known yoga teacher, he states that when the flow of concentration is uninterrupted, we reach a state of dhyana. So meditation can really be something that happens. It's not necessarily I'm doing it, I'm sitting here, I'm successfully meditating. It's happening. Yeah, maybe thoughts are pouring in, or I'm moving my body and I'm sore and I'm not in a flow, I'm not even concentrated, and it's certainly interrupted at every period of time or every moment. So this would mean that sitting isn't necessarily meditation, and thus you should be able to reach, according to this definition, a state of meditation without sitting. So another way to potentially throw some ideas out for defining meditation would be through brain states and brain waves. So I've written here some information from Cindy Dale's book that we have, the encyclopedia. You can break down brainwaves into the beta state, which is our everyday waking, thinking, conscious state, lots of activity. The alpha state, which is paired with states of relaxation, daydreaming. Says average people can maintain awareness, meaning non-meditators, what have you. The theta state, which is deeper. It's a quiet mind, quiet body, quiet emotions. It's a deep relaxation state or kind of a light sleep state. I believe this is associated with stages 1 and 2 of sleep. And it says, according to Cindy, meditators can maintain awareness here. So they can meditate through or with this specific brain state. Then there's the delta state, which is the deepest or slowest, I guess. Unconsciousness and deep sleep, stages 3 and 4 of sleep. And she also added one near the bottom, I believe, or in paragraph form, called gamma, which is marked by mystical and transcendental experiences. I would also throw in the word superconscious state as an idea. That's a word that's thrown around in a number of different traditions. And brain waves are measured in hertz. And gamma has our beta state is like between the 15 and 26 or something like that, hertz. You can check in the book. And gamma is the only one that's above that, actually. So it's operating at more hertz. Wow, I don't know enough about hertz, unfortunately. So now that we've taken a brief look at what meditation is, or some ideas rather, what's happening when we're meditating, let's look at what is medicine. We are calling ourselves, or could call ourselves, energy healers. And we're using energy medicine. We are using and moving energy with a healing intention. One thing I think is very notable, especially this is also from Cindy's book, is the idea of curing versus healing. So if we're using medicine, giving medicine, receiving medicine, are we curing? Are we healing? Curing being the erasure of symptoms. Your symptoms are gone. You're completely symptom-free. That's quite rare, I would say, for pretty much anything. Whereas healing, the word heal comes from a root. I've heard from different, I've heard it's a Greek root or Gaelic root or whatever. But the root means to make whole, to make whole. Feeling whole despite your symptoms. So even if your symptoms are still there, you are in a state of wholeness. Thus becomes, our holistic health. We're holistic health practitioners. So how do we heal? We're not curing. Meditation is probably not going to just cure our symptoms, but maybe it can help us heal and bring us back to a state of wholeness and integration. One way to look at it could be restoring balance. We have homeostasis in the body, which we've learned. That's the overall balance of the body, bringing about health according to an allopathic sensitivity. Hemostasis, hormone balance, balance in the nervous system and endocrine system. Those are like our two master systems, or two of them. And I wanted to bring to awareness here a term that I've just recently learned called oppositional therapy. The idea that to bring something into balance, or to help bring something into balance, we provide, if something is in an extreme, out of balance one way, right, we provide the counter. We provide the counter force. So one way to look at it is, if I'm experiencing anger all the time, maybe I can try to work with love or acceptance, forgiveness, whatever you would see that oppositional force in a dual state to anger, have you. So using the definition of oppositional therapy, and oppositional therapy as a view or lens or guide to how we can heal with medicine, rather how we can use meditation as medicine. What are some ways to go about that? So I'm organizing it here in two different ways, kind of at once. The first one is, what are we made up of? What are we healing here? Body, mind, and spirit. It's a wonderful way, I think, to divide or organize a human being. So can we heal with meditation on a level of body, on a level of mind, on a level of spirit? But I also have under that organized by chakra, since that's a part of our class, and it's kind of a map also. Can we heal through meditation with an energy that's in the heart, or how can we heal with these energies that are in our third chakra, or with our fifth or sixth chakra? Something that's really important to mention in healing is trauma, if not one of the most important things. What macro trauma, micro trauma, in many ways it's all trauma. We know that trauma is stored in our bodies, but not just our physical bodies, our mental bodies, with mental patterns that have stemmed from trauma and continue the trauma. We have emotional bodies, and we're learning we have energy bodies. Who knows how many energy bodies, but we certainly have them. So if we can influence and work with trauma on one level, whether it be physical, mental, emotional, we know that we can also affect the whole. When we affect a piece, we are also affecting the whole. And due to our plasticity, neuroplasticity, and our adaptability as beings, which is a wonderful tool we have, we should be able to, the more we do something in a certain way, the more our systems will work that way. So if I keep telling myself, from a mental perspective, if I keep telling myself, the cold, I can't stand the cold. It doesn't work for my body. I'm not going to go out in the winter. It makes me feel really bad. X, Y, Z. I'm never going to go out. I'm going to keep feeling and thinking that the cold is detrimental to my health, and I'm not going to gain whatever benefits I have from going out in the cold. It's maybe not the best example, but one way that I could work with that is trying to feed myself different pathways. Man, it's really cold outside, but maybe I can bundle up, do some breathing, and spend some time outside to get all the benefits that I know I personally get from being out in nature. Or, man, I've noticed when I stand up or when I do a lunge, I have this pattern that my body and my nervous system, my muscular system, is used to moving in this pattern. And with body awareness, maybe I can recognize, this pattern is hurting me, or it's a pattern that I want to change. The beauty is with intention and awareness and direction, or work, if you will. Those pathways can adapt and change, and we should be able to affect our body, mind, and spirit through uninterrupted concentrated states of flow or meditation. So that's our modality here for healing, is this uninterrupted flow of concentration as defined by BKS Iyengar. So let's start with the body, the first chakra, if you will. How can we use meditation to heal the body? So according to Dr. Dharma Singh Khalsa in his book, Meditation is Medicine, meditation can result in lower blood pressure, lower anxiety, lower cortisol levels. I really like that one, the stress hormone. We know what kind of detrimental and effects that this hormone can have with chronic increased levels throughout our body. You know, stress kills you. And we've kind of learned in school that that's pretty real, or can be if we let it. An increase in cognitive function, and an increase in melatonin and serotonin production, as well as, speaking of trauma, a decrease in PTSD symptoms. That's really cool. I wish we could spend a whole nother, we could all probably take classes on just that right there. In a 1994 study by the Office of Alternative Medicine, they found that meditation and the relaxation response brings about a decrease in oxygen use. So I'm assuming, an increase in respiratory and efficiency or oxygen use efficiency, a decrease in stress hormones, an increase in immune factors, and restorative brainwave activity. So that kind of harkens back to those brain states that with meditation and relaxation response, scientifically we can enter different, I think they're electric or electromagnetic brain states, and different things happen to us energetically, physiologically, and physically, for restoration, repair, healing, being brought towards wholeness. So for one to be in a meditative flow state of concentration, often being relaxed is a necessary step. Maybe always, I don't know. But I would say definitely often, if things are coming in, if we're thinking about, I gotta go eat later, I'm hungry right now, my left arm hurts, this is stupid, this isn't working, what's even happening here? You're not relaxed, and you're probably not able to really enter those different brain states, or different states of your nervous system, or what have you. We know when we're relaxed and in a parasympathetic nervous state, we are recovering, digesting, resting, and repairing the body and the mind. Another way meditation influences physical health is through the cultivation of awareness. And right now we're going to talk about body awareness, right? What we do with our body, how we hold and move our body, and how we treat and heal our body all influence our health and the health of our body. Meditation is certainly one way to cultivate body awareness. There's many kinds of meditation, often where you start with a body scan. You're going through each section of the body or area of the body looking for tension or what have you. So the thing with physicality and physical, if you will, on a physical plane meditation, sitting meditation isn't the only meditation. It's not the only flow state. Can you meditate while you're running? Can you enter a flow state of concentration where you're just in the moment? You're not thinking about the past with fear. You're not thinking about the anxiety with the future. You're just flowing and concentrating and being. Can you meditate while you're doing yoga? Asana, Can you meditate while you're doing Tai Chi? Can you meditate when you're sitting outside breathing, or walking? There's all kinds of meditation. Meditation can be done in many different physical avenues, stretching. Those are just some ideas and different ways that we can cultivate body awareness and influence, even mechanically, our body through meditative states. So, harkening back to body, mind, spirit, I wish to add the emotional body, or the second chakra, if you will. It's one way to look at it. Can we influence and heal our emotional body with meditative states and with the act of meditation? So, experiencing negative emotions, it sucks. I don't know about you. That's what I think. I prefer to not experience those negative emotions or emotion states. We can influence our emotional body through meditation. We can literally use emotion as a meditative tool. It's great. I want to bring up something that is potentially very important to many meditators. These are called the four immeasurables, according to Buddhism. There are four emotions, four states, four virtues, if you will. And I find they are very healing towards the emotions. They're using as oppositional therapy. We can potentially use these four measurables to counteract, to change those pathways to a positive or something. We can stay away from positive and negative, but a desired emotion. Try to steer away from an undesired emotion if we wish. So the four desires are metta, or loving kindness. The next one is karuna, or compassion. The next one is mudita, which is empathetic joy. And we have upekkha, which is equanimity. So when one is meditating, this emotional technique lies in, if you can find a relaxed flow, you're starting to feel a little concentrated, a little centered, you bring up an emotion. So you can bring up a negative emotion and you can work with it like that and let it process and flow through with awareness, right? That's a really good way we can clear an emotion. It's like a shadow work perspective. And on a light work perspective, if we're trying to actively cultivate the positive emotion for healing through intention, we can bring up, let's start with metta, maybe the easiest one, loving kindness, wishing yourself positivity, wishing yourself kindness, wishing that good things would happen to you. So you're meditating, and in your body, what's something that makes me really, really, really happy? And if you can bring up that emotion state, you're experiencing it in meditation, then you can work with it. You can start maybe at a beginning point, sending it to yourself. May I experience loving kindness. May I experience wonderful things in my life. May I experience joy. And these aren't just thoughts or affirmations, which are wonderful tools and is a part of generating the emotion. You can generate the emotion and then cultivate it and spread it, because now our neurons are firing with joy instead. And the more our neurons fire with joy, the more we're going to have a joy pattern rather than a sadness pattern. So in meditation, we can bring up karuna, or compassion. Like I have compassion for myself, even if I commit wrongdoing, even if I'm not what I want to be, even if I think I'm not enough. So you can sit there and focus on the feelings of compassion or things that make you feel compassion, and then you just send it to yourself. Whatever that means to you, just work with it, use it, spread it, keep feeling it. One way to potentially influence others is once you generate that emotion and you're feeling it inside your body, you can then send it to others. May my dad experience loving kindness today. May he experience joy, or may he experience mudita, empathetic joy. That's feeding off of the positivity and joy of others, and it brings you joy, and all of a sudden joy is spreading like a emotional wildfire. Upekkha, equanimity, May I be balanced and a sense of peace, regardless of what's happening to me out here in this external realm. Can I bring up, even though I'm feeling frustrated or upset or confused, can I sit for a few minutes, listen to my breathing, and relax, and enter a flow state, an emotional flow state of peace? What makes me feel peace? Okay. When I was young, my dad in the fields and getting coffee in the morning, whatever, that's brought me peace. So I can cultivate that emotion and continue to move with and experience that emotion. So that's one way that we can, using oppositional therapy, potentially cultivate more positive, or rather a desired change and adaptation in our experiences of emotion. So these can be done with affirmations, with words, I'm a healthy, happy individual. I'm a healthy, happy individual. And if you're flowing and you're in a state of meditative concentration, that's all you're experiencing right here and right now. You're stating, I'm a happy and healthy person. And that's hopefully, one of, if not the only thought coming through. And thoughts are okay when you're meditating. That's actually part of the process. But we'll get there when we start talking about mental healing. So how do we use the tools and states of meditation on the mental plane to work with our mental energy? thought healing. I love that phrase. Just like we can work with our emotions, and maybe there's some emotions and emotional patterns that we're experiencing that we may perceive as positive or negative, or something we want to change. The same thing we can do with thoughts. If I keep thinking about how mad I am at my aunt, I'm probably going to get more mad. If during the day, I stop thinking about how mad I am at my aunt, and I stop thinking about my aunt in that way, I'm probably not going to experience those potentially negative experiences about my aunt. So one way to help work with the mind is through concentration. If we want to develop concentration and mental discipline, if you will, to work our pathways towards thoughts we may have a desire to have, thoughts we desire not to have. Mantra is an incredible tool that could use many much more time to learn about. It's a wonderful meditation tool. It's a point, giving yourself a point to meditate on, one point, only one point. That way you can enter that relaxed flow state of concentration. So if you have a word, like a root mantra, a bij mantra, this can be in English, or it can definitely be in Sanskrit or another language. This helps us develop ekagra, or one-pointed concentration, right? So we would be able to, through these meditative states, help release or not experience and not have those thoughts that we're trying not to have, and just returning to one point, returning to the mantra. Let the mantra run subtly in your mind. This is transcendental, one way to look at transcendental meditation. If you've heard of that, it's a very accessible form of mantra meditation in the West. We just come back to that mantra anytime we have a thought. Having said that, that's a lot harder than it sounds, or it can be. A helpful point of advice for that is that if you're meditating and you're trying to focus on one point, like the breath or a mantra, and not have thoughts, it's pretty hard to not have thoughts when you're trying to not have thoughts. And it can get very laborsome when you're like, oh, I had a thought again. I wasn't meditating for 5 minutes. I wasn't in a state. I wasn't in the dhyana state, the meditative state. I wasn't even in the dharana state of concentration. But the moment you realize you've had a thought is actually the moment you've won. You've had the awareness. Now you know you can simply allow it, accept it, and return to the mantra. And now you can continue to meditate. And the reason that is because when the thoughts are coming up, one way to look at them is these thoughts are what's trying to release. So you're actually healing by having these thoughts, and the thought comes up and you're like, oh, this needed to release clearly because it just happened while I was trying not to have thoughts. So I accept that, I hear that with awareness, and I return to the mantra. So these can help clear those thoughts and help us to not focus on them and move the mind from continually progressing towards that pathway and continually thinking this thought, if you will, towards not thinking that thought and not having that experience over time. Because we're having a different experience, which is one word. That's the experience, is a mantra, or is the breath, or is a point. You can also have a one-pointed meditation on a visual. So yeah, I just want to reemphasize that while you're meditating, and if you know what you need to do, or what can be helpful, is just to simply notice any thoughts, and that's it. That's the practice. That's the win, as I like to call it. If you notice you've had a thought, great. Your awareness is working. It's working. Things are clearing. The thoughts are coming up when they need to, and they're going away, and you're returning to your point of concentration. So this can definitely help. This can definitely help bring about mental discipline and a change in those thoughts. I just want to briefly mention study, how Shravana, or spiritual study, or any kind of study can be meditation. We can enter these flow states of concentration and simply focus on what we're studying, what we're reading, what we're listening to, what we're seeing right now, and nothing else. That's meditation. And I would argue that learning is probably a lot easier when you're not thinking about, my foot hurts, I'm hungry, when is this over? Am I going to get my car back tomorrow? Rather, we can enter a state of relaxation and thought direction and just simply study. This can bring about perspective changes in the mind. This can bring about realizations for the mind. Those are just some ways that meditation and the tools of meditation can help develop, heal, work with the mind and mental energy. So for the sake of time, I'm going to bunch all this stuff up into like one section just because I'm already probably over time. We've got body, mind, emotion, and spirit. Let's look at spirit. I'm going to break down spirit healing, or healing the human spirit. More of like healing in a subtler way, or an energetic way, if you will, subtler energy. Working with energy systems with healing intention, using our psychic and intuitive senses, our subtler senses, can work with the subtler aspects of human nature through these meditative states. Everything is energy. Just wanted to keep that, as a reminder for us. And if we look at it from a chakra perspective, these subtler chakras and these subtler energies, healing of the spirit, if you will. Let's start with the heart, right? So we're talking about developing those emotions or those thoughts, those positive emotions or thoughts. And usually we start with sending it to ourselves or whatever suits you. But an easy way to work with heart healing, it's a connection and harmony, a connection to others. It's turning those things towards others, right? So if we're, as a technique, if we're developing loving kindness, we're developing joy, like may I experience joy, I'm experiencing joy, may my dad experience joy today. And just sit there in a flow state of concentration and wish these things on these people or somebody or the earth or someone who's passed even. That'd be one way to use the energy of the heart, if you will. The throat chakra, we can use sound and vibration as a meditation tool to access all of the previously stated chakras or human bodies of existence, like the physical, mental, emotional, different systems of the body. Vibration, we know everything is vibration. We can use sound and communication, truth. What are we communicating? Which vibrations are we putting out in order to heal these things? And the sixth chakra, using visualization, wisdom. There's a ton of meditations using visualization. That's a completely different topic, like how visualization can heal or bring about these holistic changes, if you will. But worth mentioning, simply at least worth mentioning, what can I visualize? What can I keep visualizing? Neuroplasticity, adaptability. What am I continually visualizing? What am I filling my consciousness with? And that kind of leads me into the seventh chakra, if we will, looking at it from a crown spiritual chakra point of view. How are we doing spiritual healing through meditation, through flow states of concentration? I think the most important point here is, from so many different traditions, all kinds of periods of time, you look at what deep meditators, rishis, seers, monks, what are they experiencing? These people are just simply being quiet and silent and flowing and concentrating for longer periods of time than we can maybe conceptualize being in that state. What are they finding? Well, they're all kind of finding the same thing, which is our innate nature. Yoga would call it, one form of yoga would call it Purusha. You may call it our Buddha nature, or our clear light nature, or our higher self, or God, or divinity, or source. For some reason, when people are entering these meditative states for extended periods of time, and they just, with awareness, are just de-identifying. Is that spiritual healing? Are we just de-identifying with the stuff that isn't really us? Is this really, they're finding that this is what's really us. It's not. I can sit in a meditation and we can be like, okay, I'm going to get to the point where I'm not really feeling physical sensations. I'm experiencing things other than my physical body, so I know I'm not my physical body, right? I'm experiencing emotions. Okay, well, can I quiet my emotions and still exist? Yep, I can observe my emotions, so I must not just be my emotions, right? I think, therefore I am. There's an observer there, right? Am I my thoughts? My thoughts control everything. I'm on my brain, right? Well, I say I, meaning humans, can not have thoughts. I can sleep. I can be asleep. I can be unconscious, and I'm still here. I'm still existing. I'm still being. So I'm not my body. I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my emotions. Am I my actions? No, I'm not my actions. I'm not my labels. I'm not what other people think of me. What am I? Can I just sit and be in the moment, be right here. That's our only access point for change. It's not the past. The past is already over. You can't go back. And you certainly can't go into the future. I can't. If you can, please let me know how. That sounds very cool. The only way we can access healing for past and present and future is through the present. It's our only access point. And meditation could be looked at as simply being really, really, really present. Whatever's happening in front of you, that's your flow state of concentration. So when these things fall away, what are these deep meditators finding? That there's an infinite light nature, super conscious beingness that isn't our ego, it's not our personality, it's not any of these things, it's something completely different. And that, maybe that can provide healing, identifying with our true nature through silence or through meditation, rather than identifying with the troubles that will always be here on earth. They're finding oneness, and can we connect to that oneness? So that's what I have today in regards to meditation as medicine. I could probably keep going, but for the sake of time, I think that's probably it. One thing I wanted to mention at the end here is that according to the Self-Realization Fellowship, meditating with an experienced meditator can really, really help enter these meditative states. And this feeds into the entanglement theory, right? If we can get connected enough to somebody who can already use these states and meditate with them, the experience may become much stronger in our ability to flow and concentrate and heal on these different levels could be increased. So I wish everybody a wonderful day. I hope there was some helpful information here. I certainly learned a lot through trying to gather these. Some of my sources are this book, Meditation is Medicine, Light on Yoga by B.K.S. Iyengar, The Subtle Body, the Encyclopedia, the Cindy Dale book, as well as, this isn't technically it, but the Self-Realization Fellowship. Those are meditation lessons. Namaste.